Hello, everybody. What up? For all of you who don't know, this is my right-hand man, Jimmy Johnson, who I did Beyond Reality Radio with for many, many years.
Dude, I was just thinking about that, and actually before the show, you and I were kind of chatting about it a little bit.
Paranormal, Karen, you sent another one. You see, everybody's sending super chat things now because they're finally happy that Jimmy's audio is.
Well, they're also sending super chats to try to tell us how to fix it. So maybe if we pretend that we still have the echo, we could get more super chats.
Yeah. All right. So hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. This is the first time I've done a YouTube live. So this is new territory for us. So we're trying to learn. We got about 700 people in there right now. Greatly appreciate it. And I know a lot of people had people say they can hear you perfect now. I know people had some questions, and Jim, I figure you're going to be the best person to help moderate those questions for me because they are moving super fast.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. As you ask questions or want to start a conversation about something, this is really free form. Basically, we'll talk about anything. But make sure that if you ask a question or make a comment that you want referenced, and if we don't do it right away, just keep asking it because this chat room's moving pretty quickly. So sometimes it's difficult for us to catch a comment or a question. So if you ask it repeatedly, you have a better shot of us seeing it and being able to address it. My first question is, do I have bedhead? Because I did take a nap just before this.
You definitely have. You definitely have bedhead. Yes, you do.
Okay. Not a problem you have to worry about, Jay.
No, I mean, I get up, I just do this, and I'm clear. So I saw somebody saying Cody and Satori should be here. Cody actually just had hip replacement surgery. So, my thoughts go out to him, and Satori's at home. But,
wow.
Yeah.
Now, they just got engaged, didn't they?
They did, yeah. And it was funny because Cody came over and he wanted to ask. He's like, hey, I want to come by and ask you some questions. And I'm like, I said to the wife, I'm like, he's going to ask to marry my daughter. And and sure enough, the wife's like, no, he's not. Yeah, he is. So he came over and we sat at the table and he asked, and, he's a great guy. So yeah, I'm happy to have him.
Well, let me just make this comment, and then we don't really need to say anything more about it. My one daughter just got married in September. Having gone through that, I don't understand how you have done it multiple times with 3 daughters. You have, I can't imagine going through that more than once, because the one time I did it, that was enough. I don't need to do that again.
3 daughters, and I got 3 sons, so it's like,
yeah, but it's a little different with the daughters.
That's very true. It's very true. So
and more expensive, I'd have to
just got the one left. Yeah, they have a lot more expensive. All right, all right. I see, Michael. You just asked the story of the Miz getting kicked off of the live show. Let me just touch base with that because that's been asked a few times. So yes, we did a live show. The Miz from WWE was on the show, and we had a bunch of wrestlers on in the past, and it was nothing personal. It was just during that time I can hear everybody's audio, and it didn't sound like he was really into the investigation. He was talking more about, he was talking about how they get paid and everything else and what they make. And I didn't want to hear that. It's just, if you were taking away from the investigation, I don't care if you're a WWE superstar, an NFL superstar. It doesn't matter to me. If you're taking away from the investigation and you're taking everybody's attention away from it, then then you probably shouldn't be there. So I had said something through my IFB, which is in my ear. I just said, cut him. And I heard somebody say, what? No. I'm like, cut him. So they did. And that's where he ended up. So it's the way it is. I mean, I'm one of those guys. If I'm investigating, I'm investigating. And I want everybody's focus to be on the investigation, to be seeing what's going on, to listening to what's going on. And if something's taking away from that, I think it's taking away from the actual investigation. It's taking away from the show for the viewers. I mean, we're 6 hours live. So it's, and you know me, Jim, you've been on investigations with me. I'm straight, and it is what it is. And I just move forward.
I want to, just a couple things, Jay. I don't know if you can turn my audio up a little there. People are saying that mine is low. I can't make a change here. again, I just want to point out that there's a lot of stuff flowing through this chat room. If we
Yeah.
don't see it the first time, make sure you repeat things, say it a couple times. And if you do it with the super chat, which a lot of people have, thank you for that, first of all. But secondly, that helps us see it because it does get highlighted in the chat. And Chris Pergler wants to know, when is the next season of Ghost Hunters? Jay, I think that's probably a question that a lot of people kind of have, whether it's in the back or the front of their minds. It's on their minds.
Well, right now, let's be honest. I don't have any plans to go back with Discovery. We're talking with some other networks and looking at some other avenues right now. I just think, sometimes networks go a certain way and it's not a way we want to go. And the nice thing about Ghost Hunters is, between Pilgrim Films and myself, we own the show, so we can take it other places. And I think that's always been the benefit of our show. And is if a network is going a certain way or they're doing something that we don't 100% agree in, then we'll just do our own thing. So right now we're in limbo. We're in talks, and we'll see where it goes from there.
A lot of folks saying that the audio is better. Thank you for letting us know, because again, this is the first time we're doing this, so a lot of tweaking has to be done to make sure that it gets set to where everything needs to be. And once we have it locked in, then every time we do this, it'll be better. So, somebody had asked, I don't remember who it was earlier before we went live, Jay, are you still the same hard ass you were in season 1?
Well, I don't think I have as many stresses or drama issues that I had to deal with in season 1. And also, we need to remember, in the earlier seasons, we were new to television. We were learning where our control was, or not even learning. I think we were fighting for control, because at that point, you got a production company. They're trying to make a show. We're trying to keep it real, and it's all about. And, I think the best thing out there, and Jim, you've known me a long time, is I'm a hard ass plumber for Roto-Rooter out of New England. And it's one of those things where I stick to my guns, and, it comes down to, there's a lot of stress and drama because you're fighting with people. And finally, your fighting benefits everybody, where it's like, oh crap. All right. No, he is in control. So we're going to do what we need to do. And, it took us a couple seasons to get to that point, but I don't think I'm a hard ass. I think I'm a straight shooter, and I stand for what I feel is right and what I believe in. So, yeah. So, I don't ever take the hard ass thing as a negative comment, because, a bunch of people like that. And a bunch of people say, you seemed really, abrasive the first couple seasons. Well, I had to deal with a lot of bullcrap the first few seasons, let alone with production, but let alone with people who all of a sudden thought, because they were on TV, that they were special or they were better than others. And TV comes and goes. I mean, it's, fame comes and goes. So that crap has never mattered to me. I didn't want to be on TV in the first place. We turned down doing shows 5 times before we accepted Ghost Hunters. So it was just one of those things where, as the head guy, I have to fight for what I believe in, whether that's with production or whether that's with, TAPS members who think that now the world stops or revolves around them.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
TAPS merch is still available, Spencer. I see that. You can just go to tapsmerch.com and it's right there. So go on, Jim.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, having worked with you for 20 years on various projects, I know one thing. I know that you have a vision, and you're very passionate about the vision, whatever the project is, whether it's Ghost Hunters or something else we were doing, very passionate about it. And you want it to be right. And I'm the same way. And you and I have butt heads, but we've also been on the same page a lot, because we're both very passionate about stuff and we want it right. We don't want crap. And then you add the egos of people in front of cameras, and you got a recipe for this kind of crap.
And anybody out there who knows me personally, I mean, you got Kenny Biddle. He's a good friend of mine, from the Skeptical Society. He's out there as well. They know I've never changed, and I've never had an ego, because I don't care about television. I really don't. It's the only reason I ever agreed to do it in the first place was I figured, all right, it's going to be an avenue to help get the word out on the paranormal, and from there it'll help push the field forward. And of course, and I believe it has. It's opened up a lot of doors, and a lot of positive has come from the show. Of course, there's been negative that's shown up, because you get some positive people in the field, you get some negative people in the field. You get some people who are really trying to figure out what's going on, and you get some people who look at it as, oh, this is a way I can either become famous or financial freedom, and so they do things their own way. So, all right, Jim, what do you got for questions? Let's do this.
All right. So I want to try to hit some of these super chat questions because, people went out of the way to do that for us. So one question is, why are TAPS family members bullying other paranormal teams online? I don't know if you have any insight into what that might mean, Jay, or you want to make a comment. I know that one thing about the paranormal community is there's a lot of competition among groups, and I don't necessarily think it's bad all the time, but sometimes it's unnecessary. And
well, they're saying TAPS family members?
This particular super chat from Mike says, why are TAPS family members bullying other paranormal teams online?
I think but let me, so I think I would need to know more information on that. See, the TAPS family is a bunch of groups that they are their own existing groups in their own areas. They do things their own way. But the TAPS family is all these groups that work together very closely. As for bullying, I don't think anybody should be bullying. I'd have to know the circumstances a little better. Because it might be a thing where they all stick together. They all work together. So nothing personal, Mike. If I have more information on it, then I could look into it, but I would have to go from there.
Here's another one. This is from Hollywood Guy, and this is actually a little bit of I'm not going to say complete tearjerker, but I got a little emotional reading this, and I know you're going to get emotional hearing it, Jay. Hollywood Guy says, I love the episode with Meatloaf. He was great. Was there any prep with him? Was he invested? He seemed genuine.
Meatloaf was a very dear friend of mine. Him and his wife, Deb, I've known for a long time. And actually, I took you to hang out with him one night, Jim. So there was never any prep with him. He constantly would send me texts, wanted to be on an investigation, whether it was filmed or not. And we would go and we'd investigate together. He was a true believer in the paranormal. And the sad part is, we filmed the episode because he had just built a house out in Tennessee, and I was heading out there. So I was like, perfect. So we filmed the episode, and I talked to him, and it was like, hey, man, when this episode's ready, I'm going to shoot you a text, and we'll just get on the computer together, or one of us can come to the other, and we'll sit down and we'll watch it together, and before it airs, so you can see it. And he was super excited about it. And then he ended up catching COVID and passed away, which
so sad.
Was heartbreaking because, I truly love that guy. He'd constantly contact my kids. He was giving my boys, information on football. He was just an all around phenomenal individual. And, the world lost just a beautiful soul.
Yeah, you took me. I went with you twice to hang out with him, and I liked him immediately. Just really likable guy, and as someone, you used the word, and I think Hollywood Guy used the word genuine, very genuine, and he loved the paranormal stuff. He actually loved it.
Yeah,
he was fascinated by it.
Yeah, so Meatloaf actually had things signed by me in his house. That's amazing. So this is Meatloaf. Right. Why has he got stuff signed by me at his house? It was crazy. So what do you got, Jim?
That's awesome. Okay, so Lillian wants to know what happened with Discovery that made you want to pull the show. Lillian's been watching since the beginning.
Well, it's more. It's not that I wanted to pull the show. It was more just I think we had different views of where things were going to go. I'm not going to be one of those people who everything's a demon so I can get more seasons or whatever. That's just not who we are. It's like, shit, at that point, I'll walk away from anything because it's all about keeping it real. So, it seems like everything I see now is, this demonic haunted object, or, I've been attacked in this demon house, or yeah. And that's, come on, that's just complete bullshit, bottom line. And that doesn't help the field. That hurts it. But that's people looking, because, the word demon, has skyrocketed in the last 20 years. It's people looking trying to go down a certain path, figuring that that's going to draw viewerships in. And I don't know. I'm not willing to sell my soul for anybody.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
And I think it's a great point about the demon thing. And somebody asked the question, I saw it scroll by, about what do you think about a lot of this paranormal activity actually being some kind of demonic deception and all that. And I'm with you, Jay, when we start talking about this stuff. You know, the number of cases that actually has some type of demonic connection or evil connection or even malicious connection. There's so few. They're so small in number, and to go onto YouTube and Facebook and these other platforms and see demonic haunting, no demonic haunting, you know, it doesn't help the field.
Yeah. Chillin Smith says, Jason with a beard. I missed the goatee. This is just for the winter. This is my my laziness. I was, you know, hey, last year it was funny. My brother and I had a competition. It was who can grow a beard the fastest.
Oh,
my
boy.
brother who cannot grow any facial hair whatsoever. So in 2 weeks I had a full beard and he barely had anything. So, but yeah, I just decided to not shave. So this is the product of that. So
I just want you to know we're getting way behind on these already. People are super chatting questions, so thank you for doing that. We're trying to keep up. Let's see, Mike. This is Mike who had asked the question about the bullying. Wants to know, is there a way he can send you information about this so you know what's going on? Is there a way, or
yeah? I mean, you can send it right to you can send it to tapsjasonh@gmail.com. So just tapsjasonh@gmail.com. So send it over there. I should be able to see it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, that's all right. I'm just trying to catch up. Let's see. Welcome. I don't know what that is. Okay. Harrisburg area paranormal. YouTube episode 8 days ago, they slandered and bullied another paranormal team. Advertised in the background of the podcast. Okay, so I don't know. So this sounds very, very complicated about this bullying thing, but it sounds like it may have been part of a podcast. Let me just say this, and Jason, you can address it the way you want to. We don't endorse bullying of any kind. There's no place in not just the paranormal, in any part of society where people are bullying other people, especially people who are supposed to be working together to find answers to something or you know, ask the right questions and get evidence or whatever it happens to be. So we don't endorse that in any way.
No, and I'm totally against that. So, I mean, please, if there's circumstances of that, then I gave you my information. Just shoot it over, let me know, and I'll talk with Marie and them, who are the TAPS family managers. We'll go from there.
All right. I'm having a little trouble navigating this thing. Let me see here.
Reading because you're too old?
Yeah, well, there's that. There's definitely that. Everything's a little blurrier than it used to be. I can tell you that. Would you ever come to New Brunswick, Canada?
Oh, in a heartbeat. I'd love. Yeah, I'd head up there. We've been up in Canada filming investigations as well, but I'd love to get up there and check it out. Just not during the winter. You guys can keep that crap during the winter because I am so done with this cold.
I'll tell you what. You and I have had this conversation for several years too.
We used to snowmobile all the time too, and now it's like, no, I'll jet ski. That's it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's like you and I had 3 or 4 snowmobiles each. We'd go to New Hampshire. We'd go all over the place snowmobiling, and now it's like, yeah, no, I'm going to stay inside by the heater.
All right, what are
It's so bad. It's so bad. How about doing some furry plants and coins? Says, how about doing some collaborations with Amy Allen? Does Amy still do anything? She's not on.
I don't know. I've never met her in person. Yeah. So I was supposed to attend a couple of events. I think she backed out right before the events for her own personal reasons. But I'd be more than happy to talk with her.
I want to mention Tally Esports. This scrolled through a little while ago. Said JV, you teased us about coming to Florida. I have to apologize. The sickness went all through the ranks of Paranormal Reality TV. Everybody got sick at one point or another, and we had to cancel that trip. We had to cancel another investigation. So we're kind of rebuilding those schedules, and hopefully we'll be back doing, I don't know if we'll get to Florida this year or what, but we'll be back doing some of that stuff.
So I've been talking with Sean over at Ghost Stop, and Sean and me, we've been coming up with different devices, and he's actually got some things that he's putting together for me right now. So there's going to be some new equipment.
Oh, sweet.
We'll be able to, bring on an investigation. And it's really, I'm not going to say anything more than that. Nope.
You don't want to mention.
Oh, well,
we might be doing or what we are doing.
Let's answer some of these questions first, though.
Okay. All right. Trying to. Oh, let's see. This is Sherry Wagner with the super chat. You said that something traumatic usually happens when a spirit stays around. What's the deciding factor that a spirit decides if they may be residual or intelligent?
Well, I don't think there's a deciding factor on that. I think a traumatic experience, the energy from that traumatic experience can be trapped within an object and so forth, a stone that makes up the foundation. So that's just like a tape player rewinding and playing itself over and over again. I think an intelligent spirit's just like you and I after we pass, and we might be confused on where we are or what's going on, but we're trying to communicate. So there's an intelligence behind that.
Night Owl wants to know, what about the Bridgewater Triangle? That's, of course, that, it's not far from where you actually live, right?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't checked it out. The problem with outside investigations is there's so much contamination you need to deal with, and it could be animals, bugs, you name it, and everybody and their brothers. Anytime you catch a bug on camera, they think it's they think it's an orb, and it's the ghost of Elvis Presley coming back, and it's not. I mean, there's just so much contamination you have to deal with, whether it be animals making sounds, sounding like voices. You name it. The list goes on and on. Pulling.
Yeah, one of our investigations recently, we had this sequence going on in an attic, and there was a psychic that we worked with at the time, which we won't work with anymore. And she's like, "Look, there's an orb. There's an orb. That's a ghost. That's a ghost. And she's doing this on our live investigation. We're doing this live. And I said, I don't think that's a ghost. That it's too stationary. I don't think it's I don't think it's any. No, it definitely is. Definitely is. And I radioed up to one of the investigators and I said, will you go over to the camera and just see if there's anything in front of the lens? Sure enough, it was a spider just hanging in front of the lens. But she interpreted it as a ghost. And if I didn't debunk that, she would have been telling everybody that we had a ghost on camera, right? I mean, that's the type of thing that kind of drives you nuts.
So we got Rico who asked this question. I've mentioned unseen episodes that networks haven't aired. Any chance they'd be released? That's totally up to the network. The tough thing is when you film an episode for the network, even though they might not own a show, they own the episode. Well, they don't own, but they have rights to the episodes that you filmed during the time that you're doing stuff on their network. So, I mean, if we could get the unseen episodes, I would love to air them. But again, that becomes a whole digital rights thing, and endless lawyers and attorneys, you name it. It's ridiculous.
Let's see. Would you ever come back to Florida, specifically St. Augustine?
Oh, I love St. All right,
that's from Jessica Kaysen.
Jessica, I've actually been looking at property in St. Augustine because it's one of my favorite areas. So yes, I would come back to Florida anytime, and I would definitely come back to St. Augustine because I love that area, and I'm looking to eventually be a snowbird, get the hell out of New England during the cold, go there, drink a little from Ponce de Leon's Fountain of Youth, come
and
back
also a couple rum runners.
Yeah, Jim and I one time. All right, so Jim and I used to head down to Orlando a bunch, and we'd hang out. Jim had a condo down there, and we would rake up $1,500 to $1,800 bar tabs on a 4-day binge of us drinking rum runners, and it was it was bad. It was bad.
They were so good though.
I would go down. I would come back. I'd literally weigh 15 to 20 pounds more, and I wouldn't have eaten anything. I just drank rum runners. All sugar. All right, what do you got?
Andrea, I just want to say a question about Scarecon. We're working on trying to bring that back. COVID changed everything. The landscape is very different than it was pre-COVID for events, so it's going to take some time.
We're at 100 people. Hello, everyone.
Oh, sweet. Hello. So if you're just joining us, thanks for being here, by the way. We're hoping to do more of this. We've got some other things we're going to talk about too, but right now we're taking questions. If you've got a question for Jason, and you're going to have to repeat it because this chat is moving so quickly that it's very, very difficult to catch them all.
And we'll be talking about some upcoming things we're working on too in
a
little while. But
so Wyatt wants to know, do you ever miss the old days of when ghost hunters was so huge? I would say, Wyatt, it's not any less popular than it was. It's just different because cable networks have changed a lot. That environment has changed so much.
That's true. I mean, there was a time Ghost Hunters, and it was Ghost Hunters and Mythbusters were the top watched top watched show on all of cable on Wednesday nights. Do I miss those days? Yes and no. I miss the days of it being like that and really drawing that much attention to the field. But I'll be honest. I mean, it was tough. We dealt with a severe stalker issue. We had to leave our home. because severe stalker issue that the guy had hacked into my email accounts, my production calendar. I mean, to the point he sent an email, and you know this, Jim. He sent so my twins' birthday party, I have black cars pulled down my driveway with a bunch of guys in it. It was the Secret Service coming to arrest me because he had sent emails from my account saying he was me and he was going to do some stuff. So I had to have the FBI was already involved. So they had to show it was an ongoing investigation. So it was great that the show was so huge, but I'll be honest. I mean, there were some not so pleasant things that came out of it. So
Gary Kimball, I think is the name in chat here, says, answer my super chat. For some reason, I can't find it, Gary. So ask your question again. Just throw it in chat here. I'll watch for it and we'll get it answered for you. Sorry about that. This is new to both of us. So we're trying to, for the first time, navigate all this. Laura wants to know, though, from someone that lives within walking distance from Waverly, would you say that it's one of the most haunted places?
The nice thing about Waverly is every floor seems to have some sort of different type of activity. I mean, you have a place where so many people lost their lives to the point where they had a conveyor belt, a death tunnel where they just load bodies on. And with that, of course, it stands a higher potential to actually have a haunting. So, Waverly, I would say, is an extremely haunted location. So, I'd love to go back there. I mean, place is just awesome.
Brett wants to know, Jason, do you still keep in touch with Josh Gates? I remember him hosting the live Halloween shows.
I do. I talk with Josh here and there, and I mean, he's been cranking along, doing his thing. But yeah, so and Josh and I have talked about doing some stuff in the future as well. So we'll see where that goes.
I have to tell you a story about Josh Gates. So I was at an event, doing an event, and you've been to the event, Jay. I can't remember the name of it though. Phenomenology was the name of it in Gettysburg.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was there. Josh Gates was there. And one of the things that would happen spontaneously at some of these events, and Phenomenology was famous for it, is that people who played guitars and stuff would break out their guitars in the lobby, and the whole gang would show up, and everybody kind of sit in the lobby, sing songs or whatever. Well, Josh Gates is a huge fan of the Beatles, and he loves the song "Here Comes the Sun." So Josh and I did a performance of "Here Comes the Sun," which I have on video. I'll have to embarrass him with that someday. At Phenomenology, probably 10 years ago now. But he's a good guy. It was a lot of fun.
All right. So what do we got?
Let's see here. What else do we have? Donna Lisak Burris says, can you add your unaired episodes on the Ghost Hunters Roku channel? And I think you kind of already addressed that.
If we can, they will. But there's a whole contract thing where it depends on if the network will allow those to be unaired. I mean, be aired on a different network. When it comes to digital rights, it's a whole other can of worms that attorneys and agents and all that deal with. But I mean, if they can get a hold of them, I'd love it, because I mean, you guys would be able to see a ton of investigations that we went to that we're able to debunk and find that it's not paranormal. And that's my favorite, is the ones that you're able to get in there and figure out what's truly going on. Because whether it's paranormal or not, people are calling us in to help. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I want to say hi to Mandy with Ghost Sisters, a great friend, works with me on Paranormal Reality TV, does a lot of investigations. She says that, Jason, we used to watch you when I was younger, when you guys first came out, and it was a family thing.
It makes me feel like so old.
That's the thing. There are people now that are like commenting, and fans who are like, 7 years old when the show started.
Well, so my twin boys were 4 days old when I started filming Ghost Hunters.
So
and
crazy.
now they're 19. So it's like, they'll be 20 this year. It's amazing.
Spencer wants to know, what was the favorite place of yours, Jay, that you investigated?
Favorite place? I mean, there's been so many. Like I loved heading over to Ireland and checking out Lep Castle, Lachine Ruins. Here in the United States, St. Augustine Lighthouse is one of my favorite locations of all time. Stanley Hotel, I loved. We didn't really get much of a chance when we were in Hawaii to check out places because we were hit by a tsunami while we were there, which a lot of people don't realize. We were there during the tsunami, and it's like, oh my God, yeah.
So D. Burns says, I've watched from the beginning My now adult sons just recently told me that they hated Wednesday nights because ghost hunters terrified them. Do you know you were scaring little kids at the
Wait a minute.
time, Jay?
So Ghost Hunters was such a family show. I was to the point where I didn't want people to swear or anything on camera because my own kids watched the show. So it was one of those things where I wanted it to be a family show where the family could come together and enjoy it together. And people didn't have to worry that somebody was going to say something that their child was going to pick up on. So, as for terrifying, I think that's, I don't know. That's just not the way I've always viewed it.
Yeah, I guess it's perspective. Stacy L says, Jason, JV, what are each of your best paranormal evidence? What are each of your best paranormal evidence?
Some of the best evidence, I think, are things that we never even filmed for the show because there's a whole side of TAPS. People don't realize that there's the TAPS home team, which do all the investigations off camera. And then there's the ones that are on camera that are doing it. So, I mean, we do cases that fall under confidentiality agreements where we catch some phenomenal evidence, but it's not something, we're not the kind of people who are going to go to somebody's house just to catch evidence so we can write a book about it. That's never been what it's been about for us. So, I mean, some of the best evidence we've got is probably within those investigations.
Yeah, and I'll kind of my similar answer in the sense that the best paranormal evidence I have ever experienced, I haven't caught on cameras, I haven't caught on audio recorders, I haven't caught on any other type of devices. It's personal experiences, my ears, my eyes, my senses. I've seen apparitions. I haven't caught a great apparition on camera. I've heard disembodied voices. I haven't gotten them as clearly on a recorder, so I don't know what that is. I don't think anybody has an answer, but that seems to be the case with a lot of investigators.
It's funny. A lot of people also ask, and I saw somebody say, what's my favorite piece of equipment? And it might be funny or whatever, but it's true. My favorite piece of equipment is common sense because not enough people use that these days. They really don't. And because you got to go in taking everything somebody says with a grain of salt. It's not that if some people are purposely going to try to mislead you, you need to be prepared for that. They're going to hide speakers in the walls, which we've had people do, and things like that. But some people, just the way they perceive something isn't always the way it really happened. Their perception of something is very different than actually how the evidence was or what actually happened. So you need to go in with common sense and take everything with a grain of salt.
I love that you said that because that's similar to the answer I always give when people say, what's your favorite equipment? I always say my eyes and my ears and my brain. Nothing is more sensitive than your own eyes, ears. I see people go into investigations loaded with all this electronic gadgets and this equipment, which is, they all have their place. That's fine. I'm not saying don't use them, but don't use them instead of using your eyes and your ears. Don't get so engrossed in a screen on your phone or an iPad or whatever that you're not looking into the room and listening into the room.
So Sharon Solantano wants me to say where I'm from, the name of the area. It's Canandaigua, Canandaigua, New York. Now, I can't spell it for shit, but I can say it. Canandaigua, New York. I was born in Canandaigua, and right up near, way up. And then we moved to Rhode Island when I was younger. So Canandaigua, New York. There you go.
Courtney wants to know, Courtney Renee, does any ghost follow you home or to another location? And this is a common question that people will ask investigators. You ever have anything follow you home?
Well, I haven't had anything actually follow me home. I would love for something to follow me home because then investigate from the comforts of my own couch. But I think also the ghosts would be like, holy crap, this guy's got 6 kids and a bunch of grandkids, and this is pure chaos. So it's probably not within their benefit to follow me home.
Brett wants to know, Jason, have you ever seen a UFO, and what are your thoughts on the UFO phenomenon? JV, same question. Have you ever seen that?
I'm a firm believer in UFO. UFO just stands for unidentified flying object. I'm a firm believer that there's more out there than, I'd be naive to think that it's just us, with all those planets out there. But I think also I look at possible aliens as very different than, if they just show up, they're probably not going to be the same height as us. They're going to, all these different factors come into play. The gravitational pulls on their planet are going to decide whether they're taller, smaller, the pressures. So, I mean, they could be here right now, but they could be the size of a speck of dust, and we just don't know it. Or we could be a little speck of dust under the fingernail of one. So who knows? I mean, the list goes on and on. But I'm a firm believer.
Sometimes I feel like I'm a speck of dust under the fingernail of something. I don't know what it is, but something. No, but you're absolutely right. We
Good line.
automatically assume they're going to be like, maybe 3 feet tall or 6 feet tall or whatever. But, if there truly is, and I believe there is, alien life forms in our universe, what's to say they're anything like us? They could
And that's
be.
the thing. They could be 100 feet tall for all we know. They could be microscopic. So the fact of the matter is, it's all going to be based on their evolution, where they're coming from, the gravitational pull, the pressures of their atmosphere, and all that stuff is going to determine on the size of them. So, and we need to take that into consideration. I mean, you see all these shows where aliens are showing up and they're just like us, but I mean,
And to answer your question, Brett, personally, I've seen, and as Jason pointed out, UFO stands for unidentified flying object. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a spacecraft or an extraterrestrial craft of some type. I have seen things in the sky that I've been unsure what I'm looking at. And most recently, I was with my son and we were driving to one of the Paranormal Reality TV live investigations, and he looks up in the sky. What the hell is that? And I look up, and it's this array of lights flying together, and then he's like, "Oh, I think that's the Starlink satellites." And have you seen those up in the sky,
I
Jay?
have. We've seen them come over, and
It's like a web of
it's crazy.
satellites in the sky. They just kind
Yeah,
of
and you
fly
can
along
actually
together.
track it. There's a tracking thing on your phone, so you can see when it's coming over and
Yeah.
see it. I mean, it's wild.
And I also say this, when it comes to UFO sightings, I believe that some of them are legitimate, and maybe it's not quite as distinct as the demonic thing. In other words, I think that most UFO sightings are not extraterrestrial in nature. I think
No,
the ones that truly are rare, and very few of the reports that we get are actually of that, but I do think they are happening.
let's be honest. If they have the technology to get here, then
Yeah,
you better
that's
hope
right.
they're coming in friendly.
We
So,
hope so.
yeah.
Let's see. Virulent Viper says, sorry if this has already been asked, but is there any update on the new episodes of Ghost Hunters? So must have missed
Again,
the.
we're right now we're in talks with possibly taking the show to other places. So we'll have to see where it goes from there.
Purple-eyed Bat, would you collect and release the Taps magazine in a set of volumes? Oh, that's an interesting question. As the publisher of Taps Prayer Magazine for a lot of years, I can tell you this, that there is not, I mean, I suppose all the original files are there. They could be reprinted, but there is not a large supply of the back issues. So to be able to do that from original printing, original press is probably not possible. However, if there was enough of a demand, we could go back into the files and reprint them, I suppose. So I've
Yeah.
never been asked that question. Interesting question.
Quick funny story. I was going through the attic a couple months back, and I found an old duffel bag, and it had Taps Para magazines in it.
Oh,
And
seriously?
yeah, but it also had, because I went to an event one time, and Larry Flint, those of you who don't know, he was the guy who created Hustler magazine,
Yep.
and he also created some adult films. Well, he sent a bunch of DVDs to me at an event that were autographed by him. He made a spoof, a porno spoof on Ghost Hunters
God.
called "This Ain't Ghost Hunters." So I found him in this duffel bag. I'm like, what do you do with these? I can't. They had people like Dave Wango and stuff on. I mean, I'm serious. It was crazy. And the actual thing on their case was Paps instead of Taps. But no, this is a true story. So I literally had to, I had to burn the things because I was worried I'm going to put them in the garbage. The garbage man's going to see it and be like, what the hell's this guy into? So, yeah. Anyway, but I found this Taps Paramag. So, but they helped burn the rest of the stuff. So, anyway.
Doof Paranormal from our friend Karen from Australia with another super chat and a question. Thank you, Doof. Have you ever caught evidence which at the time was remarkable and then later looked at it a few years down the road and debunked it?
Yeah, I haven't had any evidence that years later we've been able to debunk. But honestly, maybe I should probably go back and look at a bunch of the stuff because all the evidence we catch is ours. So so I still have it. It's all backed up. So honestly, I mean, it'd be interesting to do that. And also with the technology today, you can run it through different programs, which could help you as well. So That's actually a good thought. That's something maybe I could sit around for like a couple weeks and just do that because
Yeah,
we,
that
we
that would be
filmed.
interesting.
I mean, we
And I'll say
filmed almost 400 episodes of Ghost Hunter,
that's
so it's like
crazy.
insane.
It is insane. I'll just add to that I haven't had any circumstances where I've gone back and looked at footage or audio or something that I caught at some point and then debunked it later. But I have gone back to places that I caught something and thought I caught something paranormal and was able to debunk it at the place and say, "Oh, wait a minute, that was not grandma screaming in pain. That was the door squeaking." I've been able to go back and do that. But
So we got Hobby Champs. Thank you for the $5. Asking, would we ever consider bringing the show to YouTube exclusively? Is the full control enticing? You know what? The nice thing about Ghost Hunters is I've always had full control. So I see the episodes before they air, and I say what needs to be fixed or what needs to be added, and so forth. So the idea of coming to YouTube, I'm actually looking. Jim and I have been talking about doing some stuff on YouTube where we're going to actually go and investigate some things, and also, there's another good friend of mine, I'm not going to say any names, made me a bet. And I'm going to make a video because I want to talk about this. Made me a bet that I would not go to some of these locations 100% alone and stay the night. Now, it really makes me wonder because you know what? Because he's like, oh, it's because you're always going there. You got the team with you. You got people to support you. And I sit there and think, well, that's not true. But then I sit there and think, well, wait a minute. Is he right? So he bet me quite a bit of money each place. So it could be but he bet me that I would not go and be willing to stay at least a night at some of these locations 100% alone with nobody. Now, Jim and I are going to go hit some awesome locations we've got planned. And we're going to film them. We're going to air it. But I do want to also take him up on this bet because, from a psychological standpoint, I want to know inside that I'm able to do this. And wouldn't you agree with that, Jim? It's, when you're going someplace and you have people who you can rely on, great. But when you go somewhere and you don't have anybody to rely on,
yeah.
except for your own, mental state, I think that's a challenge. I think that's the next evolution in me attempting some things. But now I want you to understand, me doing things on YouTube doesn't mean that that's all I'm going to do. So, because we're still talking about ghost hunters and stuff, this just gives me an avenue to explore some other creative ideas that I'd like to look into.
And I do think that's an absolutely perfect characterization of that because, we often think, oh, yeah, I'll go into this building despite the reports of paranormal activity and I'm not afraid, blah, blah. But usually you've got somebody with you, even especially if you're filming, someone with a camera, whatever. You think you're kind of alone, but you're really not. But when you're totally alone, when you're absolutely 100% alone with nobody within earshot, nobody in the building with you,
Right.
that's a
Exactly.
different experience. That's a very
Exactly.
different
And
experience.
Miss North's musing, she said, "Can you please give my son Dylan a shout out? He's been a huge fan. Hello, Dylan. Thank you so much for the support throughout the years, and keep on following. I think there's a lot more to come. So, all right.
It's funny. I was just going to read that one too. You
Well, I
beat me
beat you
to
to
it. You did. Have you ever been scared on an investigation? Carmen Grimsley Hudson wants to know.
Not by the dead. I've been scared to death by the living. I'll tell you that much because the living can hurt you. But yeah, the dead don't scare me. The living scare the hell out of me because I never know what I'm dealing with. What's on the other side of that door? I never know if this person's got a medical condition, if they're over medicating, under medicating, self medicating. I mean, there's so many factors that come into play. So the dead don't scare me. The living scare the hell out of me.
Yeah, we do a morning Paranormal Reality TV morning question on Facebook every day. And one of the questions we asked recently was, are you more afraid of the dead or the living? And I think it was like 95% said the living. And that's a really good perspective because especially when there's a location that you're going to become much more familiar with if you're watching the show tonight, that one of the things we have to worry about is that, there's been reported vagabonds, homeless folks living in these places, and who knows with drug use and all this other stuff, what you're going to run into when you turn a corner in an abandoned building. You
And
just don't know.
and I are going to go and stay
Yes, exactly.
solo, just us. So
Yep.
it'd be interesting.
Yeah. So you have to be more concerned about. I've heard of people being scratched. I've been I've had red marks on my
Yeah.
torso
I
before,
don't
but
believe
I've
it
never
can kill you.
heard of someone being killed, or other than somebody doing something stupid in the dark, tripping, falling, whatever. I've never heard of anybody really being.
That's why I've never understood the whole running away from something. I mean, you
Yeah,
run away,
exactly.
you turn your back, you can't protect yourself. So,
That's
and there's no
exactly it.
point to run. It's like, it's ridiculous. But go on.
Let's see, Michael. There's a trend of stars going back and watching old episodes, talking about Sopranos, and doing a podcast telling behind the scenes stories from it. Any interest in doing something like that? That's pretty interesting. Before you answer, Jay, it's funny you mentioned Sopranos, Michael, because I had never watched The Sopranos, and about a week ago, I said, you know what? I'm going to sit down and watch the freaking Sopranos, and I just started season 6 last night,
Great show.
so I'm almost done with it.
Yeah, I would be up for that. I would be interested to do that.
That would be kind
It's
of cool.
yeah, because there's
Kind of
been a
neat.
lot of people who've come and gone on the show, and just to see them, and also just to comment on what I was thinking at that time, how I was feeling at that time,
Mhm.
maybe other drama that was going on with that person at that time.
It's funny you said that, because I've been involved in a lot of your stuff for a long time now, and even I have forgotten some of the people that have gone through the show. There's names that come up. I'm like, who the
Yeah.
hell is that? And then like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that's right.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I would definitely do it. I would be interested in it.
So speaking of Sopranos, so I bought a restaurant from James Gandolfini. He died at 51 years old. It was very, very early, but he owned a restaurant in the town that I owned radio stations in, and he wanted to sell it, and I bought it from him, and I met him. He's exactly like he is on the show. Did you ever get a chance to meet him?
I did not. I would have loved to have met him. I mean,
Yeah.
but it was
I mean,
strange because like he he enjoyed doing The Sopranos, but he didn't. Yeah, he was really not happy with the violence and all that stuff too. So
yeah,
I mean, there's a lot
yeah,
of crazy when you go and you actually research or watch some of his interviews or some of the things he wrote. You're like, wow.
oh, let's see. What else do we have here? Any plans for a live investigation? Let me just tell you this. I've been trying to get Jay to do a paranormal reality TV live investigation with me for a while. So put pressure on him, people. Put pressure on.
Yeah, but see the thing with live is, you see a lot of these YouTube things, and these people are like so over the top. It's like, oh my God, did you hear that?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's not
yeah.
me. So something
Well, it's also
happens.
not. It's not paranormal reality
No,
TV either. Just so
no.
so
Well,
folks know.
exactly. But that's just not me. So something happens. I'm going to go towards the noise. I'm not going to be creeped out. I'm not. I'm there to try to find out what's going on. So yeah,
Right.
it's yeah, live would be fine, but you're not going to see an overly excited individual or overly scared individual, shocked by something happening. That's just not my style. It's not my way.
Yeah, and one of the things, and I'll just add to what Jason was saying here, was when I dipped my toe into this live investigation stuff on social media with Paranormal Reality TV. One of the things I noticed is the shows that are really successful, as we talked about before, all say demonic this, demonic
Yeah,
that, all that stuff, or it's exactly as you described. Every noise is like people getting freaked out and running and
it's just
screaming,
how it
and you and
is.
I don't work that way. We just do not
No,
do it that way.
no, and that's the thing. It's just not how it is. So.
And Jess H says, will you keep Steve and Tango with you on your next project?
Well, of course. Well, when I'm doing my YouTube stuff, I'm just doing my YouTube stuff. But and we bring Ghost Hunters back. I'll have the team back. It's I mean, I only did Ghost Nation because I wouldn't do Ghost Hunters without the team. So, and then we took Ghost Hunters back, and you saw the team, and I brought in a bunch of the people from the past, which whether it be Amy, Adam, Chris Williams, Dustin. I wanted to make sure that I brought back as many people who made the show a success, and that's what it was all about. It was always about the team. It's never been about Jason being here and everybody else being here. It's always been about us working together to figure it out.
Ishtar, and I can't pronounce the last name. I'm sorry. I'll try. Sayadi says, hey, Jason, I know you're in the school of it's not a demon, but I want to know if you've ever encountered an actual demonic entity. I know in the old Ghost Hunters episodes, there were some elementals.
Well, elemental. So I believe in inhuman type entities, things that have never walked the earth in human form. I don't look at demonic entities like what is written in Scripture or the Bible. It's never been about that to me. I believe that there are negative things out there, but I can't sit here and say, you know, I'm dealing with a demonic entity from hell or whatever, because I just don't buy into that. But yeah, we've dealt with in what we believe to be inhuman type haunts. And also there's a whole side of taps that get sent out to write up preliminary reports on so-called possessions and demonic hauntings and things of that nature. 99.9% of those have nothing to do with the paranormal. So we need to take that into consideration.
I saw a comment here about James Gandolfini that I can't find now. So I know someone had said something about in response to me talking about buying the restaurant from him. I wanted to read it, but I can't find it now. So
I do want to say thank you. I mean, we still got like 900 people watching.
You guys,
so
you guys are pretty darn awesome.
It's the first time we've ever done this. So, you know, appreciate it.
Alex says, where are you and JV going next? Alex, we can't tell you. It's a secret. It's hush,
we
hush.
Tell you, we'd have to worry about everybody showing up or going to check the place out themselves. But we have a couple trips planned, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yep. I don't know. We've been doing this an hour. We said we were going to do an hour, then we'll call it a night.
We'll see if we can answer a couple more questions. I mean,
all right.
I hate for people to sit there.
Wyatt wants to know, what were your thoughts on the episode of South Park that featured ghost hunters? Now, let me just say this. To be featured on a show of that prominence is such an honor. I mean, I'm still like in awe of the fact that they did that with ghost hunters.
Well, and we were told ahead of time that they were going to do it. So,
seriously?
Yeah. So I remember sitting in the room with Grant and Chris Williams and a bunch of us watching it, having fun with it. I mean, at one point they were talking about doing a Family Guy thing with us as well, but we just never got a chance. But yeah, I mean, it was an honor. It's like, come on, we're in South Park. Whether they're making fun of us or not, they
make fun of everybody. That's kind of like a badge of honor to be made fun of South Park. They're amazing. Kimberly Gerlach Villarreal, I hope I said that correctly, says, "Hey Jason, can you tell us a little about what you learned about the Hat Man?"
Well, now the Hat Man has been something. It's been an investigation I've been working on for well over 20 plus years, like 25 years. I actually have a map where people who contacted me long before the show, and just marking out different things. And for a lot of you who might not have heard about it, the Hat Man tends to appear around children, but he always seems to be like in a corner of a room and in the shadows. And sometimes it's actually where it's a terrifying thing, but sometimes it's actually beneficial. Like I dealt with a case where a child, the father had come home totally drunk, and I guess it was common for him to abuse the wife and everything else. And this one person had told me that they woke up finding the Hat Man in the corner of the room. He leaned out of the shadows and put his fingers up to his mouth, telling the child to be quiet, because the father was standing right outside the door listening to see if the boy was awake, because again, he had to deal with physical violence. So honestly, in a case like that, it was in a protective manner. So I know a lot of people look at the Hat Man as this negative type or scary type thing, but there has been claims of him helping people out or doing something to try to protect someone, which so we really need to see, is a Hat Man that's been seen all the same man, or are there different versions or different styles of it?
Love of Evil 666, very ominous screen name, says it was the super interactivity and nonsense during the lives you had available for us fans that made it great. And let me just say, when with Paranormal Reality TV, the reason that I went down that road, and by the way, you can find it on Facebook and YouTube, is because I wanted to have an interactive platform for people to help investigating it. The whole idea is that people in the chat room can actually guide the investigation. That's what makes it kind of cool when we do it on Paranormal Reality TV. But Jay, when you guys did those Halloween specials, that live stuff, that was beyond trailblazing. That was like a whole new world that had never been tried before.
6 hours live. That was interesting. I mean, it's the only time I've ever missed any holiday with the kids, but I mean, it was amazing, and I loved doing it. I hated being away from the kids, and that's why they stopped, because I told Sci-Fi, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do it anymore. I said, you know what, we can do it 2 days before or a day after, but I'm not doing Halloween anymore because I'm not missing Halloween with the kids. And, so that's where I stopped. But I see. Go ahead, Jim.
No, I was Skers, Skers 86, $20 super chat says, who's on the top of your guys' list of people you'd want to meet? And Jason, what's your favorite drink other than rum runners?
Well, I drink, besides rum runners, I drink vodka cranberry. So it's, that's my usual go-to. As for people I'd like to meet, geez, I've never really, I mean, as celebrities, people put their pants on one leg at a time. It's, I had Trisha Yearwood reach out to me a long time ago, and we've been friends ever since. But and she brought me to meet her husband, Garth Brooks. The list goes on and on. So, there's some phenomenal people out there. But again, everybody puts their pants on one leg at a time. So I don't care whether they're famous or not. I look at everybody as equal. Except for Meatloaf.
Yeah. I would, and just to answer that question too, I would say that I drink vodka sodas, but I don't drink really anymore. It's kind of,
not much of a
since
drinker.
COVID, I stopped going out, and now I like being home, and I don't do that anymore. But, and as far as people I want to meet, in the paranormal, I really, and you met Lorraine Warren, I think, didn't you?
I met Lorraine and Ed. Yep.
You met Ed too? Okay. I'd like to meet them. And let me just say, they're, in my mind, very controversial, but that's why I'd like to meet them, because I'd really like to ask some questions and see what they have to say about some of the things that I've heard and learned and researched. And I think they were trailblazers for certain, but I do think that there's a lot of questions that need to be asked of some of their involvement in some cases and some of the work they did, some of the things they said versus some of the reality that we've come to learn after the fact. So, obviously we can't meet them now, and I can't ask those questions now because they're no longer with us. May they rest in peace. But that would have been on top of my list, I think.
All right. So what do we got?
Let's see here. Some DJ Payette said, I paid for this question. I'm sorry I didn't see it, but here we go. Can I contact you about an investigation, specifically the Algonquin Resort in New Brunswick?
Yes. And first off, you say you paid for the question. I don't know how any of that works. This is all new to me. So
yeah, this is all new to both of us.
So I didn't even know what Super Chat was until we just signed up. First time we've ever done this. And you could have asked me that for free. So, you can send an email to tapsjasonh@gmail.com. That's an email that comes directly to me. So feel free to send it over there. And, if we can, love to get out there and check it out.
Tyler Terry says, do you think electronic equipment can interfere with activity? Has it been your experience that more things happen off camera than on? And could the equipment be disrupting a manifestation?
Well, electronics can mess with equipment signals. And so so that's one of the other things that drives me crazy, because I've seen too many people out there randomly make devices go off. And I think you need to be careful with that, because I've dealt with situations where, like, even my production crew, I make them turn off their walkies and stuff when we're actually investigating, because I don't want false readings. But some people know that they can get false readings using certain pieces of equipment and purposely set it off. So you need to really base the activity on your respect of that individual and your belief on if they're trying to keep it real. Because that's what it comes down to.
Oh, I just saw one here. Where'd it go? Boy, these are moving so fast. I try to stop them, but they don't necessarily stop.
Couldn't imagine doing it myself, Jim.
Where'd it go? There's one I wanted to ask, and now I can't find it. Sorry about that. I pay for super, don't spam chat, send Jay an email. Okay, you got that. Have you spoken to Brian Arnois?
I have not. I hope Brian's doing well.
He's doing well, yeah.
Yeah, I wish him the best. I think he's living somewhere out in New York now, New York State. But yeah, so we went our own ways, but I hope he's doing great. Bottom line, I think that's all I can say about that.
Brenda Farrow, Jason, has your paranormal life been worth it?
I think it has. My whole family's involved in the paranormal. And yeah, I think it's always been about trying to figure out how these things are possible and how these things happen, and also help as many as I can along the way. So when it comes down to it, at the end of the day or the end of my life, I can sit there and truly feel like I've helped out as many people as I could along the way. So yeah, it's been totally worth it for me.
Yeah, I just want to clear it up because there's some people getting a little irritated with some repeated messages. We did ask folks to repeat their questions if we don't get to them because the chat is moving so quickly we can't see everything, and our eyes are mine are poor enough now that I really have to squint and I can't see
I do
everything.
want to just respond. PSI Paranormal Investigators. You asked if I'd be up for a skeptical team from the UK investigation. I'd be up for a skeptic investigating with me, anyways. A good friend of mine, Kenny Biddle, who you guys can check him out at I am Kenny Biddle, and also he does a thing on YouTube and does some great TikTok videos. Kenny works for the Skeptical Inquirer, and he's been a good friend of mine long before he was even a part of that. But you know, I contact him on investigations, and I've asked him for thoughts or any information or whatever, because it's it's always been about trying to find the truth. It's not about me trying to prove to people that there's ghosts out there. That I don't care about that. It's been about me trying to find the truth. So working with a skeptic, I think, is one of the most important things. But Kenny is an interesting individual because he can kind of bridge that line where you get the believers, the 100% believers, you get the 100% skeptics, and Kenny's just a guy looking for the truth. So he's trying to figure out what's real, and I'm doing the same thing. So I think that's why Kenny and I have gotten along so well for over 20 years, to the point where I'm not hiding anything. He's not hiding anything. I mean, he's come and hung out with me. He stayed with us. People like that, I think, are important because you're all looking for the honest truth. You're looking for what's real. And yeah, so for skeptics, yeah, I'm in.
Uh, just so you folks know, there's a lot of folks who we probably didn't see your question this time. We're going to be doing this again when we finish here tonight. Don't fret, we'll be back at some point. I'm not sure what schedules are going to be popping up, but just as long as you subscribe to the channel and stuff, you're going to be notified, and we'll be doing this again.
So we got Eden Moon. Jason, does it make you angry at how many YouTubers fake paranormal evidence? It pisses me off. It pisses me. But then there's some phenomenal people. Like I've talked to Colin from the Paranormal Files. Seems like a really great guy. Yeah, I watched his videos. I like the Project Fear guys because it's really not about a lot of people look at it differently, but it's not about the paranormal for them. They're testing their fear when it comes down to it, which I think is a great thing. And there's a whole lot of crap out there. Let's be honest. I mean, you see people creating fake stuff on YouTube just for clicks. You see people creating fake stuff all over TikTok, but there's a lot of good people out there that are looking at those and calling the fakery out, and I think that's important.
Yeah, I mean, it works. You fake something like that, and you get all the clicks that you're looking for, and that's on us to be a little more discerning about who we support, who we watch, who we push the like button for, and all that stuff. I know that anything that Jason produces, you're not going to get that. Anything that I produce, you're not going to get that. And when we work together, you're certainly not going to get that. Those are the types of investigators, people that follow that mold, who are really just looking for answers and not out to prove there's a ghost or not out to
Sure.
prove anything per se.
I'm not out to prove it. I'm just out to figure out what's happening. That's
Right.
what it is, and I think that's what it's always been about. Could I, I mean, honestly, if I was looking at it the other way, I've written six books. They've been New York Times bestsellers. I've had endless companies approach me to option my books to try to turn them into motion pictures. It's never been about the money to me. But if they take one of my stories and blow it way out of proportion, I mean, then my whole case became fake because of that. And so it's not about that to me. I mean, we can see what happened from the story of a Raggedy Ann doll, which now is a doll running around killing people, which is beyond anything I can grasp. But yeah.
Man, I keep losing these messages, but somebody here asked if there was ever an investigation that either of us were involved in. Oh, here it is. It's Crystal Black. What was the scariest investigation you've been on, and have you ever had to quit because it was so bad for either of you?
There's been investigations that I've never walked out on an investigation because of activity. There's been investigations that we've been on that we feel threatened physically. And I mean, I did cases with John Zaffis that we ended up getting dragged into an occult case. Other cases where we were sent out to Skowhegan, Maine, to deal with a case that turned out to be that rare 0.001% where there was negative violent activity going on. Yeah. So, but nothing I've ever, I mean, if somebody calls me in, I'm there. I'm not, nothing's going to scare me out of there. I mean, if they needed my help, they needed my help. If I turned around and took off on them, I mean, that would be horrible.
Yeah, I similar here. I've never left an investigation. I will say, anybody who watched any of the Paranormal Reality TV live investigations, there was one circumstance where I was down a long, dark hallway by myself. I thought I saw something that I wasn't ready for, and I kind of scooted back a little bit, almost a dude run moment, but I didn't run and I didn't go very far. I just kind of scooted back, and I took a little heat for that. But when you're surprised, it's not fear more so much as it is surprise. You know, your body will react in a way that you can't necessarily control it at the moment until you've collected yourself, and you're like, okay,
Well, you better
I'm cool
hope you
now.
control it. So start.
Say it again.
You better hope you can control it. Start filling your drawers.
So yeah, that would be the closest. But anyway, you guys are great, by the way. Thank you so much for the support in the super chats and all the great questions. Jerry says, Jason, you're terrific and missed greatly. Bring ghost hunters to YouTube, please. A lot of people have said that.
We'll be bringing some stuff to YouTube, so you guys will have to check that out. But guys, we're not gonna. I mean, I think this is something that we should do here and there. I mean, start throwing some of these in, because I mean, it's gotten great response. I mean, we've had over 900 people, almost 1,000 people joining us tonight, and that means everything to me. But and I think we should come on and do this more often so we can answer everybody's questions.
Yeah, questions, and maybe we can add some other components to it too. There's a lot of stuff going on in the paranormal community we'd love to talk about. One of the things I wanted to talk about at one point, you and I were kind of batting ideas around. It was that whole thing that happened in Miami with the reported aliens and the pictures and all the police and all that stuff, which seems to have been explained, but there's still some questions out there about what actually happened. Kind of an interesting story.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, it's I didn't really look into it too much. It's because there was so many mixed reports coming in. People are like 9-foot aliens. I'm like, well, told you they wouldn't be our size. But yeah, but no, that didn't seem to be anything that had to do with any of that. So, but
yeah. So we good. We should call it a night here. We've got people.
All right, guys. I will put something out there in the near future. We will do another one of these in the real near future. But thank you so much for joining us tonight. I look forward to answering more of your questions. Love from all of us to you. Stay safe and keep it real.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.